Tory, good morning to you. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Mel.
All right, so last week we sort of set it up. Here's what we're expecting. Did you hear any word of bylaw officers needing to be dispatched anywhere? Did you hear of any kerfuffle in day one?
Quite literally, in a city of 3 million people with thousands and thousands of businesses affected by this, we had a handful of people making inquiries of us. So I think in that sense, it went very well. I myself was out at McHappy Day, so I went into a McDonald's restaurant and had to show my proof of vaccination. It took about 10 seconds, and there was a staff person there that had to do it, of course, from the McDonald's store. So I understand there's an extra burden that's been put on people to make this request. But I think that if people, behave themselves in a civilized manner, which I know people are going to do, then I think this can go very smoothly. And as the Premier said, and I agree with him, this is a temporary measure, and it's meant to take account of extraordinary circumstances to keep those businesses open, to keep us all healthy, to keep the schools open. And so I think most people understand that, and they're willing to do that in the interests of public health. So yesterday, good start, and I think there's no reason to believe if people are very civilized and understanding about this on all sides, as it were, that I think we can continue to have it that way.
Should this potentially escalate and we see some of these scenarios where it isn't minor, is the city ready to step up and help small business owners who are caught in a very difficult position?
Well, we always have enforcement, resources available, and people, while earlier on they were told to call 911, that would only be for an emergency situation, but for some other less than emergency kind of circumstance, they can call 311, and of course we have resources available to help with that. But, we're very optimistic that between the understanding approach taken by the business owners who are trying their very best to get out from under the struggles of the pandemic, and, more importantly, in a certain way, the understanding of people, not to raise political or ideological issues and make a fuss. These are the laws for the moment. These are the rules, set by duly elected governments at Queen's Park, and certainly supported by us here. And I hope people will accept it in that spirit, and that understand what we're trying to do is protect public health and keep those very same businesses and the schools and other things open. So we have the resources to respond if necessary.
And we know the vaccination uptake is looking good, especially the new strategy from the City of Toronto looking at targeted neighborhoods where people can access it. So thank you for that. I want to get your take on now revisiting the idea of bail reform. The man accused with a first-degree murder charge of killing Toronto police officer Jeffrey Northrup released on bail yesterday. And indeed, there was a lot of reaction to that, including from yourself. You released a statement. I know this is not done at a municipal level, but what can be done and what would you potentially be advocating for something like this, where there's a lot of controversy in it, to not happen?
Well, leaving aside this case, I mean, my general, approach with respect to bail reform is that you just can't have people with firearms offenses getting out over and over again, which is exactly what's happening lots of the time. In this case, we don't know what went on in the court and what was said, and that's the problem. I think when you have a controversy like this about somebody getting out on bail charged with first-degree murder, which is unusual, it undermines confidence in the justice system not to know why. And so I think in this case, it would have been much, much better if the judge could have said something with respect to why a bail was granted in a first-degree murder case, which I think most people would agree is unusual. And I simply said it's hard to imagine what could cause somebody to be let out in this manner on that kind of a charge, especially as we are just so recently mourning the loss of this wonderful police officer. So I think there's a lot to be said in terms of bail reform, and this is just one more thing that undermines confidence, which is not good. It's not good for the system to undermine confidence, and I think that more should have been said and more should be said.
Okay, and we'll follow that court case again. His next appearance is in October. Before we let you go, I want to end with some positive notes here. The City of Toronto really looking to put in the spotlight arts and culture. We have been through so much in the last year. So there's a couple programs I want to highlight that not everyone knows about, and that's why we want to put it out there. Artworks TO and Show Love TO, which you see different installations and whatnot. If you see hearts popping up over the city, what is going on?
Well, we're trying to bring a sense of joy back to the city. We're trying to create some interest in getting back to the main streets of Toronto, and that means main streets through all the neighborhoods where there's a lot of small businesses and restaurants that have been very hard hit. So we have programs to dine at a very reasonable price at hundreds of restaurants across the city. You mentioned public art. It's a year of public art that I declared in the city. And example, yesterday we opened a wonderful public free display of public art done by some extraordinary artists at the Cloverdale Mall in the West End. You can go see that anytime. Tonight we're opening a big sort of light art display on the side of a building at the Regent Park Aquatic Center. So there's a lot of things that are designed to show us an appreciation for art and to help the artists. They've really struggled during the pandemic too, but also at the same time to bring people back to the streets, back to the shops, and generally sort of start to try to get the city, back on its feet, because we need to recover, and we need to recover by being together, celebrating things like art, employing our artists, and supporting our small businesses. That's the display there at Cloverdale you're seeing on the screen right now. It's really quite wonderful.
And indeed, we have some great local talent and in a beautiful city. Mayor Tory,
sure do.
As always, appreciate your time with me. Are you ready for what's about to happen? He's always ready. Mayor Tory joining Dina and Sid.
I did not straighten my hair this morning.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
okay, no frizz. No frizz for you. You're good.
Looks impeccable as he joins us.